Good afternoon, everyone. I, Dr. Priyanka Prajapati, Assistant Professor in Microbiology Department, Faculty of Parul Institute of Applied Science. On behalf of the Microbiology Department, I would welcome you all and our chief guest, Dr. Sumaya Ase, would presenting the idea about modern dimension of microbiology and present scenario. Before she started, I would like to say a few words about her. She started her career in 2011 in MSc in Environmental Science as a professor of environmental microbiology at ITFAQ Kaur Surat. In 2012, she promoted as a professor in environmental engineering, taught environmental microbiology there too, and certified as AICTE instructor and examiner. In 2013 to 2015, she became a lecturer in SRKI, taught microbiology to UGIS microbiology, biotechnology, and environmental science students. In 2015 to 2017, she became an ad hoc assistant professor of microbiology at Naranlala Science College, Navsari, and she guided 6 dissertation students. In 2007 onwards, she became a HOD and assistant professor of microbiology at Microbiology Department of C.B. Patel Computer and J.N.M. Patel Science College, Barthana, Surat. And she published her 4 international and 2 national papers. So now, not much taking much more time, I would like to invite our guest, Dr. Sumaya Ase, to give an idea about modern dimension of microbiology and present scenario. Please, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, Piyu. Okay, Piyu has worked with me, so that instead of calling her as Dr. Priyanka Prajapati, I would prefer to call her as Piyu. Okay, so I'll be presenting myself now. As you all know that our topic of today is modern dimension of microbiology and present scenario. Now, you people are from various steps of BSc as well as MSc, that is, you are from either semester 1 or semester 3 or 5 as per your professor Dr. Priyanka Prajapati has said, and semester 1 and 5 MSc students. So, as per the requirement of today's time, I will be presenting you about a modern microbiology. Now, as you all know that what is microbiology? So, the study of microorganism is known as microbiology. But as a subject, microbiology is widely connected with many other subjects like computer science, chemistry, atmospheric science, oceanography. Likewise, we can say that it is connected with genetics also, evolutionary biology, genomics, medicine, and so on and so forth, and plant biology as well as agriculture, biochemistry. So that going into the detail, not in detail, in brief idea that where microbiology can be applied. So that first of all, we have to see that whether to understand microorganisms and to understand that resistance mechanism. First of all, we have to understand what is the bacterial protection mechanism. Okay, as you all know that for a protection mechanism, organisms have got restriction endonuclease enzymes. So if a virus attacks or any other organism or any organism which are omnipresent, microorganisms are omnipresent. If I rub my finger on any surface or on any inanimate object, microorganisms are there. If I breathe in, I am breathing in so many microorganisms, but because my immunity is well established, it is not possible for an organism, for an opportunistic pathogen to cause the disease. So to understand that what is the bacterial protection mechanism? So whenever the bacteria is being attacked by any of an invader, which is a virus, so that viral DNA has been recognized by the immunity mechanism of organisms or immunity protection agents of microorganisms that are termed as restriction endonucleases. Now, restriction endonucleases are nothing more than that of a Caesar. we can cut with that of a Caesar as like that. We can cut the DNA with that of a molecular Caesar. So we are talking about here. You can see over here. Okay, in a particular piece of a segment of a DNA, that is GAA-TTC. Now that is a recognition site of EcoR1. Now that EcoR1 cuts this particular site and produces a sticky end. Now there are 4 types of, if we see microorganisms, from the perspective of microorganisms, there are 4 types of restriction endonucleases. Now the characteristic, if we see the characteristics of restriction endonucleases, or so to say the mode of activity of endonucleases, so type 1 can cut at a random position away from the recognition site also. So each and every restriction enzyme has got a different recognition site, and onto the basis of that recognition site, that particular restriction enzyme cuts the DNA. Okay, so if a viral DNA, if an invader's DNA which is not being methylated at a specific position, that can be cut with that of the immunity protection mechanism agents, that is restriction endonucleases present in organisms. Now going ahead, now this particular mechanism plays a most important role in excluding out these invaders of microorganisms. There is one such mechanism which is existing in organism which we may not be knowing, but the CRISPR mechanism is existing in microorganism, which microorganism can exclude out an invader. Invader may be any of a DNA or RNA from that of the external environment. So going into the detail of modern microbiology, what you study is a basic microbiology application of microorganism, but in case of biotechnology perspective is entirely different from microbiology. Now what they are teaching is how to apply what you have studied at basic level, or what you have studied in certain papers offered at the biotechnology as well as microbiology courses. So building on the discovery of, right from the beginning, building on the discovery of a structure of a DNA and genetic code, 4 main scientific advances have been made and underpin these techniques, have been made in this particular scenario. Hybridization probes, PCR, which is most important in this present scenario, COVID-19, RT-PCR is most important, and which is a confirmatory test whether a person has been infected with that of an invading virus or not. The observation that the microbial species signature can read in ribosomal genes. So which kind of a disease a person has encountered, if it is a viral disease, if it is a bacterial disease, if a person has encountered certain disease, which kind of organism has infected, or the individual is being infected with that of microorganism, that can be studied very well within a stipulated period of time by having an idea, by observing the microbial species signature, and can be read in a ribosomal genes and also in proteins. Early discoveries have paved the way for new diagnostic methods. So nowadays, new diagnostic techniques are being developed which are very rapid and highly sensitive as well as specific. Now, automation again has played a most important role and provided a high throughput, large number of clinical specimens combined with reasonable cost. For some time, a quite revolution has been taking place inside the hospital microbiology laboratory also. So molecular microbiology techniques like RNA sequencing, DNA sequencing, RNAi, as well as CRISPR technology, as well as BioBreak technology has paid or is more important nowadays in present scenario. So that will be discussing only 2 methods as per the time permits. So molecular techniques based on the detection of microbial DNA if a person is infected after a certain period of time, that means after 16 to 18 hours, if that person is infected with that of any microorganism, up to certain microbial load reaches, then and then that microbial load can be detected by our laboratory procedures. But if we go for extracting a DNA for an invader, so a small amount of DNA is sufficient to have an idea, to give an idea that whether that person is being infected with pathogenic microorganism or not. So these techniques offer a promise of faster specimen turnaround time, more accurate pathogen identification, greater sensitivity, facilitating confident clinical decision making. So that if we go for PCR, if we go for hybridization, certain PCR procedures give us an exact idea that whether the person is being infected with bacterial infection or a viral infection. So combined with the automation, modern microbiology offers high throughput for large number of specimens at a reasonable cost. So coming on to our subject, that what is CRISPR? Okay, so CRISPR stands for, that is an acronym for cluster of regularly interspaced short palindromic repeats, and it is a specialized region of DNA with two distinct characteristics, that is the presence of nucleotide repeats as well as a spacer region. You must have studied 135, okay, BSc 135 or MSc students must have studied virology paper in BSc. Okay, in that virology paper, if an organism is infected with that of a bacteriophage, either the phage itself goes in. So there are two mechanisms by which phage goes inside an organism. Either the whole phage goes inside an organism, or else a phage DNA may get inside an organism. Just a minute, dear students. I need to communicate. Okay. Now, where were we? Okay, we're on virology topic. So that, what is that? That is, if a phage DNA goes inside an organism, there are multiple fates. Okay, in Nasib Hoyche, there are multiple fates of that phage DNA. Either the phage DNA may get incorporated into a bacterial DNA and lysogenic cycle commences, or a phage DNA may get circularizes on its own or initiates a lytic cycle. So that if an organism has got a certain kind of mechanism by which it can have an idea that a particular DNA, an invader DNA has arrived or has turned in, so that a bacteria has got a particular mechanism for that to exclude that DNA out by having a CRISPR mechanism. So CRISPR technology is very simple but yet a very powerful tool in genome editing procedure. We can edit a genome, as you can see in a caption, or you can see in a GIF also. Okay, so we can edit a particular genome sequence by using this CRISPR-Cas9 format. So it allows researchers to easily alter DNA sequences and modify the gene function. Its many potential applications include correcting genetic defects, treating and preventing spread of a disease, and improving crops. However, its promise also raises ethical concern also. So, in a popular usage, CRISPR, it is now pronounced as CRISPR in a shorthand called CRISPR-Cas9. Cas9 is an enzyme which excludes a certain part of which binds to that of a certain part of a DNA molecule along with that of a helper RNA, and that again culminates into modification of a specific part of a genome sequence. So CRISPRs are specialized stretches of DNA. The protein Cas9, which is also accommodated in this CRISPR system, or CRISPR associated enzyme, is an enzyme that acts like a pair of molecular scissors. As scissors can cut through a specific inanimate object, this particular Cas9 enzyme can cut through a DNA molecule at a specific position, capable of cutting the strands of DNA. So how the CRISPR works? Coming on to how the CRISPR works. So you can do anything with that of a CRISPR technology. N number of possibilities will be there. Cas9 is an enzyme that can cut apart a DNA sequence. So you must have studied, MSc students must have studied restriction endonucleases, EcoR1, XBAR1, PST1, and so on and so forth. So bacterial restriction enzymes, what they do, they recognize a specific site present on the bacterial DNA sequence or an invading DNA or viral DNA sequence. If a viral DNA sequence is not being methylated, or if it is not being capped with 7-methylguanosine cap, if it is not being capped at a certain position, that particular DNA may get cut off with that of molecular seizures that are restriction enzymes. The same system, the same phenomena applies over here. Cas9 is an enzyme that can cut apart the DNA. Bacteria fight off viruses by sending a Cas9 enzyme. So there is a whole sort of mechanism which is underlying that of a not just a restriction enzyme is responsible for cutting and invading DNA, that is viral DNA. But the whole mechanism which is existing, that is Cas9 enzyme to chop up the viruses that have mugshot in a collection. So in a lab, what we can do is we can actually synthetically cut any DNA, cut and join any DNA, whether if we are going for cloning procedure. So nowadays cloning is being widely used in many cases. So researchers use a similar approach to turn the microbes virus fighting system into a hottest new lab tool. So CRISPR-Cas9 tool was first described in 2012 and 2013. So it is not, that old procedure. It is a very new procedure, and many more things are to be found out in this particular system, CRISPR-Cas9 system. There are many papers available on TUNET in NCBI. You may go on to NCBI, search for CRISPR-Cas system, and you can have an idea that what is CRISPR-Cas system. Okay, so science labs around the world soon started using it to alter organisms' genome. If we want to have an idea, or if we want to utilize certain organisms for certain pharmaceutical agent production, pharmaceutical ingredient production, if you want to utilize microorganisms for our betterment, for our purpose, if you want to transfer some sort of gene, human gene, whether it could be, you can say that whether it could be human insulin gene, that is to be transferred from that of human, that is individual human beings, to that of organisms, and now it is being marketed pharmaceutically. Okay, so around the world soon started using to alter the organism's genome, an entire set of its DNA instruction. Now this tool can quickly and effectively tweak almost any gene. It can cut almost any gene in any plant or animal, and we can insert our desired sequence into it. So researchers already have used it to fix the genetic diseases in animals, to combat viruses, and to sterilize mosquitoes. This project has been done in Africa. So they have also used it to prepare pig organs for human transplant and to beef up muscles in beagles. So this is how the CRISPR works. In particular, these are the 5 steps how CRISPR works. So what are the steps that we'll go through? And it is a very simple and a new process of genome editing or a DNA editing. So in a first step, that is custom sequence, an RNA that features a sequence matching that of a target DNA sequence is being produced using an online. There are so many online bioinformatics tools which are available. Even Sigma Aldrich, that is a company which generates, or New England Biolabs, which generates specifically designed RNA sequences. So one can have an idea from the database of NCBI, one can construct a specific RNA sequence. So customized RNA sequences are being produced in a second particular step of a CRISPR technology. So that RNA is then attached if a particular part of a DNA is being cut and modified. If I want to modify a part of a DNA, it is over here. So if I want to cut the sequence over here, what I need to do is I need to design an RNA sequence which is complementary to that of this sequence first. Or I want to design an RNA sequence which is having my desired characteristic. What I want is, if I need to incorporate any flagellar sequence into an organism which previously doesn't have a flagella, so what I need to do is I need to customize that RNA sequence having a code. Any questions? Having a code in a particular RNA sequence. Then what will be done by using a CRISPR tool, the RNA is then attached to Cas9 enzyme, a DNA cutting enzyme, to create a CRISPR tool. So that RNA is being attached to that of a CRISPR-Cas9 and a CRISPR associated enzyme. Now what that enzyme will do, enzyme will search for a matching sequence. The RNA guides the Cas9 enzyme to match the DNA sequence. And then what will happen, then that particular DNA has been cut from over there. Cas9 cuts the standard of that DNA to disable the gene, and then that particular gene is being inserted, but that cut gene is being inserted into another organism. Engineered DNA, a new segment of engineered DNA can then be inserted into existing DNA to modify it. So if I am having a new engineered DNA which is coding for that of a flagellar sequence, or it may be coding for that of a human insulin sequence, that particular set of a DNA, if I make a cut from over here, Cas9 cuts the DNA sequence. So CRISPR-Cas9 system cuts a DNA sequence at a specific position by incorporating a specific or in vivo designed RNA sequence. And that creates a hole in the sequence, and that hole is being again pinned down or mended with that of a DNA ligase enzyme of our desired sequence. So this is how CRISPR works. Again, this is the same sort of principle, how CRISPR, working principle of CRISPR technology, Cas9 protein. So this is a you can see over here where my cursor is moving. This is a Cas9 protein in white. Okay, and this is a guiding RNA. Guiding RNA is being attached to that of a Cas9 protein. Cas9 will go on to the complex DNA double helical structure. This complex attaches to the matching genomic DNA. Now, this particular sequence has to be complementary to that of a sequence which is there onto the DNA. That sequence from that particular sequence, that is a yellow segment, Cas9 cuts the DNA sequence. The Cas9 RNA complex cuts the double-stranded sequence, and a desired DNA, programmed DNA, or the feature which we want to incorporate in a genome of an organism or a genome of a eukaryotic living being can be inserted by this CRISPR-Cas9 technology. So this is the slide. This slide shows a guiding RNA which is being joined with that of a complementary sequences, and by recognizing these complementary sequences, Cas9 cuts at a specific position, and the cut DNA, after putting a cut, after having a donor DNA that is from our desired sequence, our desired feature, after being incorporated this donor DNA into the cut DNA, the DNA ligase seals the DNA. So what is the actual mechanism of CRISPR-Cas9 technology that we will be discussing from now onwards? That is, what is the mechanism? CRISPR-Cas9 is only adaptive immune system in prokaryotes known so far. In this system, small guide RNAs that are known as tRNAs, they are employed for sequence-specific interference with invading nucleic acid. So if a viral nucleic acid goes inside a bacteria, it can easily be recognized by CRISPR-Cas9 system. So CRISPR-Cas comprises a genomic locus which is known as CRISPR. Now what is the CRISPR termed as? It is a cluster of regularly interspaced short palindromic repeats which are being recognized by Cas9 system that harbors the short repetitive elements, repeats, separated by unique sequences which are known as spatials, which can originate from a mobile genetic element such as bacteriophages, transposon, or plasmid. The CRISPR-Cas system acts in a sequence-specific manner by recognizing and cleaving the foreign DNA as well as RNA. So, how the defense mechanism goes step by step. So, there are 3 steps in defense mechanism of excluding a viral DNA from that of a bacteria. So if that a bacteriophage enters into an organism, by which particular method it is being excluded. So there are 3 steps. The defense mechanism can be divided into 3 stages. First of all, there has to be adaptation or a spacer acquisition. Then there will be cRNA biogenesis and target interference. So these are the types of, there are 2 classes of CRISPR system, CRISPR-Cas9 system. Okay, 2 classes, and there are 6 types of CRISPR system, which is nowadays has been found out and working. Many scientists are working on this CRISPR-Cas9 system. So in a first phase that is known as adaptation phase, there are three phases of defense mechanism of an organism by which an organism can exclude out. So this is how cloning can be done by using CRISPR-Cas9 system. So to have an idea that how cloning can be done, we have to have an idea how organism excludes viral DNA. So in case of a first phase that is known as adaptation phase or adaptation, a distinct sequence of an invading mobile genetic element that either could be a bacteriophage or any DNA which is coming from that of outside world or outside environment called a protospacer is incorporated into CRISPR array, yielding a new spacer region. As you can see over here, now CRISPR adaptation. So if a DNA goes inside, okay, so this DNA is coming inside. These are the repeats you can see over here, okay, and this DNA is being incorporated into it. So in case of adaptation, first of all, there has to be mobile genetic element which is being incorporated as a protospacer region. Okay, now this protospacer region that enables the host organism to memorize the intruder genetic material. So once the virus invades an organism, superinfection cannot be possible. So bacteria recognizes that if a certain viruses or if a certain viral DNA comes inside an assembly of bacteria, that particular DNA is being recognized, that is known as adaptation procedure. So there are two proteins which are there in this adaptation procedure playing a most important role, that is Cas1, that is CRISPR associated protein 1 and protein 2 to be ubiquitously involved in spatial acquisition process, as they can be found in almost all CRISPR-Cas types. Exceptions are the type 3 system, type 3D system and type 4 CRISPR-Cas system, which harbor no homologous protein, and the mechanism of different CRISPR-Cas type system might be conserved only in a certain extent. So this is how CRISPR-Cas9 system works. It is first being adapted to that of a bacteria. Bacteria recognizes the repeats as well as these are the repeats in black rectangular or sort of diamond shape format. Okay, these are the repeats that are DNA sequences. Repeats means DNA sequences, and these are the spacer regions which are not coding for anything. So this one is a Cas gene sequence, and this is a CRISPR array sequence which is being adapted to that of, or first of all, organism has to adapt it to that of CRISPR array or CRISPR system. Then there will be a biogenesis, RNA production, cRNA production. So several types of CRISPR-Cas system can stimulate increased uptake of new spacers upon cRNA guided binding to a protospacer, and that was selected upon a first infection. So to enable the immunity, once the virus is being encountered by that of bacteria, if it is a temperate phage, second time infection is not possible. That is, organisms become resistant to superinfection. So once the DNA is inside the bacterial system, cRNA guides a protospacer region which selects upon first infection, and that enables the immunity. The CRISPR array is transcribed into a long precursor cRNA, that is pre-cRNA, and further processed into mature guide cRNAs containing a memorized sequence. So now bacteria recognizes that this particular invader has invaded my system previously. Okay, and because of that invasion, because of that invading DNA, an open reading frame changes, and because of the change in that frame, again, why superinfection cannot be possible? Because if at all a genotype changes, to certain extent a phenotype changes. So proteins which are available, receptor proteins for a viral attachment, which are available onto the bacterial surface sites, now will get altered. With that of the insertion of this invading DNA, this DNA is not being excluded. So in type 1 and 3 system, members of Cas6 family perform the processing step yielding intermediate species of CRRNAs that are flanked by 50 tags. Now see this CRRNA as well as tracer RNA, CRRNA biogenesis happens. This CRRNA recognizes a particular sequence, particular invading sequence, which is being invaded or which is being pushed inside by that of a viral, any virus or any pathogen. So now coming on to the third phase, third phase of a process, that is interference. So there has to be certain stop, there has to be certain interference. So in the last stage of immunity, if at all an organism is protecting itself from that of the invader, an organism has to stop the viral RNA replication as well as transcription. So mature CRRNAs, they are used as guides to specifically interfere with the invading nucleic acid. Class 1 system employ a cascade, that is a set of a gene that is known as CRISPR-associated complex of antiviral defense-like complexes to achieve a target degradation. So that if an organism wants to degrade a particular invading DNA from that of a specific virus, specific bacteriophage, there has to be interference, that has to be a target degradation. While a class 2 system, a single effector protein is sufficient for target interference. So, no other DNA has been targeted than that of a viral invader. બીજું કોઈ DNA target નહીં થવું જોઈએ, ફક્ત viral invader target થવું જોઈએ. So to avoid self-targeting, there also a DNA exists of microorganisms. So if at all a microbial system targets its own DNA sequence, what will happen? A microbe may die. So there has to be stop for that particular sequence to be degraded off. So to avoid self-targeting, self-DNA targeting, type 1, type 2 and type 5 systems specifically recognize the PAM sequences which are there onto the CRISPR sites, somewhere over here, PAM sequences that can be recognized, and because of those PAM sequences that is located upstream of type 1 and type 5 or downstream of type 2 of the protospacer region. Now coming on to why we have discussed this mechanism. Anti-CRISPR mechanisms also exist in viruses. Viruses are very, so to say, like very intelligent ones, intelligent chaps. So prokaryotes have got a remarkable arsenal of defense strategies in order to coexist with their viral predators. So as a part of constant arms race between bacteria and their viral counterparts, phages have evolved to a certain extent that if at all they cannot go inside, or they cannot survive inside an organism by one way, or they are being excluded. A viral DNA, if it is being excluded by that of Cas system, phages have evolved to a certain other extent different strategies to overcome antiviral defense mechanism of bacteria. Now what is that defense mechanism that can escape? Viruses can also escape CRISPR-Cas interference machinery through random mutations. We may see that now, so there are certain diseases which are re-emerging diseases. Re-emerging diseases means what? Disease has already existed, a virus or a bacteria has already existed, but because of some sort of mutations into it. Now, which are those mutations that we do not know, that we have to, unless and until we sequence it out, we won't be having any idea that which are those mutations. So, because of those mutations, if we take the example of any phage, because of these mutations, random mutations in a protospacer region, or in a PAM sequence, viruses can get inside an organism very easily and can befool this CRISPR-Cas9 technology. So as a counter strategy, again, organisms are again smarter than that of viruses as part of a counter strategy. Several type 1 CRISPR-Cas systems show an elevated uptake of new spacer as a direct result of mismatches in PAM or in a targeted protospacer during prime acquisition. So moreover, efficiency of escaping CRISPR-Cas immunity by point mutation is strongly impaired by bacterial populations that show high spatial diversity. So organism has throughout their life in a specific niche, in an environmental niche, organism has encountered many viruses with that of transduction or any other procedure. Transduction is a main procedure. And if at all we see that if at all that virus comes out from that of an organism, okay, so there may be a probability that that viruses leave behind certain part of that DNA, which is now termed, here it is termed as a spacer region. So microorganisms can recognize these spacer regions very easily, and they have got a very wide spacer diversity. And by having that very wide spacer diversity, microbes can recognize an invader, that is a virus, very easily, and can exclude that invader virus with that of a Cas9, modified Cas9 or modified CRISPR-Cas9 system. A positive explanation for this observation is that spatial diversity increases the adaptive pressure on a virus and thus leads to rapid extinction of a predator. Now we'll discuss one of a case. In case of Pseudomonas aeruginosa, in recent studies demonstrated that new-like phages which infect Pseudomonas aeruginosa actively inhibit their host CRISPR-Cas9 system. These phages produces anti-CRISPR, that is known as ACR proteins, that interact with components of type 1F CRISPR-Cas interference machinery. And a phage proteins ACRF1 you can see over here. Okay, these are the anti-CRISPR loci which are available in many phages. Okay, so these are these loci are nothing but a segment of a DNA which produces this kind of ACR proteins, that is anti-CRISPR proteins. Now these anti-CRISPR proteins, in case of mu-like virus that can infect the Pseudomonas aeruginosa, ACRF1 and ACRF2 binds to the different subunit of a cascade system which is there in a CRISPR system, and thus prevent the binding of CS5 complex to target DNA. Now ACRF3 was shown to bind a nuclease Cas3 and inhibiting the function of target degradation, so that microorganisms cannot recognize an invader, whether it is being methylated, whether it is not being methylated, whether it is not being capped at any position. Okay, so that virus can easily befool a microbial machinery by this anti-CRISPR protein, by producing this anti-CRISPR proteins. So in a so far unique report of immune evasion, it has been shown that Vibrio cholerae, ICP1 phages, infecting phages, that is ICP1 phages, encode a type 1F CRISPR-Cas system that targets a host genomic island known to be involved in CRISPR non-related antiphage defense. So a CRISPR, a genomic island that is being attacked by that of ICP1 phages with the help of type 1F CRISPR-Cas system, attacking the host defense mechanism was very crucial for a phage propagation, and as the efficiency of infection was greatly reduced when targeting spatial in a viral CRISPR array were being deleted. So this is how anti-CRISPR mechanism works. ACRF targets binding region and cannot be, and can easily, that particular virus can easily escape from that of CRISPR-Cas9 mechanism. Now beyond adaptive immunity, that is DNA repair, apart from that of immunity, what else may be provided, what else may be facilitated by this procedure? So besides the role in prokaryotic immunity, CRISPR-Cas9 system has got a role in bacterial immunity, that bacteria has been protected by this particular phenomena, CRISPR phenomena. So apart from the protection, CRISPR-Cas system have been shown to participate in cellular pathways other than immunity. Early reports have suggested an involvement of E. coli Cas1 protein in DNA repair mechanism. If a DNA is being distorted at a certain space. So DNA repair pathways, since the protein was shown to interact with components of cellular repair machinery like recombination B, Rec A, Rec B, Rec B, Rec C and RUV protein, Cas1 further proceeds processed intermediates DNA structures that often occur during DNA repair and recombination like holiday junction and replication forks and 50 flaps. Now, in case of gene regulation, also this assembly plays an important role. CRISPR-Cas system plays an important role. Involvement of Cas components in cellular regulatory process become more evident in the last few years. Type 2 CRISPR-Cas systems seem to play a significant role in regulating virulence of pathogenic bacteria. In case of Francisella novicida, a ribonucleoprotein complex consisting of Cas9 and tracer RNA and a unique small CRISPR-associated RNA represses the expression of a bacterial lipoprotein. And transcriptional downregulation of BLP is very crucial for immune invasion as the protein can be recognized by host immune system. In case of genome evolution, acquisition of a foreign DNA spacer is a crucial step in CRISPR-Cas immunity. So if a genome is being evolved to a certain extent, again CRISPR-Cas system is playing a most important role and displays the unique adaptive nature of this defense system. It has been widely reported that in some cases spacers are derived from that of own genomic sequences and targeting the chromosome, however, results in DNA damage and will inevitably kill the bacterial cell. So, while self-targeting of CRISPR-Cas system can definitely be lethal to that of organisms also, for a host organism, several studies investigated its potential in genome evolution. Now, what is the significance? Well, which I have discussed. Okay, the system we have discussed that. What is the significance and application of this particular system? Why this particular system is nowadays most being discussed and it is very important. So the use of CRISPR-Cas in therapeutic approaches has become increasingly relevant in different fields of medicine. Presence of repetitive sequence interspersed with short spacer, later known to be as CRISPR, has been exploited for diagnostic purposes and simple typing of Mycobacterium tuberculosis strains. So if a person is being infected with M. tuberculosis, CRISPR-Cas technology plays an important role in identifying that particular infection. This has helped to understand the ways used by pathogen for the transmission, how a pathogen is being transmitted from one individual to another individual by looking at the differences in a spatial content of a related strain. This is can be termed as a spacer oligotyping or polygotyping procedure. Has also been adopted in Salmonella enterica or you can say that Salmonella typhi, Yersinia pestis, and Corynebacterium diphtheriae. Use of CRISPR-Cas as a direct antimicrobial. It is a direct antimicrobial tool. One can edit a gene and insert an antimicrobial microbial resistance gene into it. Has been studied very recently. Artificial CRISPR arrays have been designed to kill pathogenic bacteria by targeting antibiotic resistance or virulence gene also, which can incorporate an antibiotic resistant gene to any organism by using CRISPR-Cas9 technology. One has to have a detailed idea about CRISPR-Cas9 technology, then and then one can edit an organism's DNA at a specific position. This elegant way only aims for harmful strains in a bacterial population and allows non-pathogenic strains to overgrow the pathogen so that the pathogen load will get subsided. Medical potential of CRISPR-Cas system goes beyond antimicrobial treatment also. So if a CRISPR technology is being applied to antimicrobial mechanism or medicine treatment, there will be no sort of medicine which can be taken with that of oral pathway. Okay, कोई पण दवा लेवानी जरूर पड़શે नहीं. If at all a CRISPR-Cas technology has been patented for particular individual. The introduction of efficient and precise modification into gene of an organism displays a basis for genome engineering also. As you may have studied our DNA technology, we can engineer genome sequences of organism of our interest. We can edit genome. We can edit the genome sequence as per our requirements. So CRISPR-Cas9 technology plays the most important role in genome engineering and gene editing also. Precise remodeling of genome can be used to cure gene variants that cause genetic diseases. There are some sort of genetic diseases which are very dreadful, cannot be cured by any, or there no medicine exists. That there exists no medicine for a specific genetic diseases. So CRISPR technology plays a vital role. It is the most prominent technology in case of this genetic diseases if it is being correctly placed. Scientists were able to repair mutations that cause cystic fibrosis, again a very dreadful disease of lungs, by correcting the CFTR locus in cultured intestinal stem cells of cystic fibrosis patients. Okay, so precise remodeling of genome can be done. A genome can be remodeled used to cure gene variants that cause genetic disease. In CF patients, moreover, using a CRISPR-Cas9 technique, a healthy phenotype can be generated, can be restored in mice suffering from hereditary tyrosine anemia, a genetic disease, tyrosinemia, a genetic disease that causes a severe liver damage. So it is a very powerful tool to revert back liver cirrhosis in human individuals also. Genome editing has been further used to develop antiviral therapeutic approaches. Accordingly, the genome of HIV has been successfully eradicated from that of a lately infected cells. CRISPR-Cas9 technique has further simplified at a genome scale screen, and screens seek to identify genes that are involved in certain metabolic or pathogenic processes. By abolishing the gene approach, genes that are involved in tumor growth or convey susceptibility towards bacterial toxins could be identified and could be eliminated. Now, which are the perspectives of CRISPR technology? So it creates an interest in the field of if a scientist is having an interest in the field of CRISPR-Cas has rapidly increased in certain years. Numerous studies shed light onto the underlying genetic and biochemical processes of adaptive mechanisms, adaptive immune system, and revealing its potential in modern medicine. Process of immunization that is accomplished by incorporation of new spacer in a CRISPR array is still the most puzzling. So one has to go inside into the deeper of how this mechanism works at an individual scale. Okay, we have identified certain mechanism in some sort of organisms, but this mechanism may not be perfect in other organisms, in other eukaryotic cells. So one has to have an idea if this particular mechanism will work best at eukaryotic level, at which particular eukaryotic, in complex eukaryotes like us, or in simple eukaryotes like fungi, how that CRISPR-Cas9 system works. Another puzzling aspect is the impact of CRISPR system on prokaryotic diversity. It has been observed that the immune system protects not only against phages but also against against other mobile genetic elements which might be incorporated or might be beneficial effects, might play a beneficial role of an organism. So in fact, the native CRISPR-Cas9 system is silenced in E. coli by histone-like nucleoid structuring proteins, that is known as HNS, raising the idea that an inactive system may be advantageous for bacteria or not. So one has to study that, if at all the system is working at a specific level or not. So further research is also required in immunity, unrelated functions of CRISPR-Cas system. Numerous studies reveal their involvement in several regulatory processes, and deeper insights is needed. Again, more and more research is needed in CRISPR-Cas9 technology. For instance, when it comes to the interaction of Cas protein with components of cellular DNA, cellular repair mechanism, as well as recombination pathway. So it has got a very fascinating role in prokaryotes. CRISPR-Cas system has undoubtedly caused most attention for their potential medical application. So it is very widely, or it is very important from that of medicinal perspective or personalized medicine. And numerous other biotechnological applications like crop editing, gene drives, like ability to stimulate biased inheritance of particular genes to alter an entire population, which is known as nowadays as synthetic biology. So there exists another branch of microbiology where you can establish a career that is known as synthetic biology, which is based on certain this kind of processes. Now coming on to the second process, that is BioBrick. Okay, now BioBrick is nothing but it is just like a brick. by which we can construct a house. If we are constructing something, if we are constructing a DNA, BioBrick is most important. So they are the parts DNA sequences that follow a specific restriction enzyme assembly standards. Now going on to what is a BioBrick first. BioBrick standard is an empirical universal standard for defining the sequence of nucleic acid of a part and describes how they can be combined with other part sequences within the cloning vector. You may be knowing about gene cloning and gene editing. So if I want to incorporate my desired sequence into a plasmid, or if I want to transfer my desired sequence from one organism to another organism, there exists a laborious work. What I need to do is I need to go for a recognition site which is there onto only, there has to be some sort of recognition sequence onto host DNA. Again, that sort of sequence has to be available onto the plasmid, so that if I use a specific restriction enzyme, whether it could be XBA1, whether it could be EcoR1, whether it could be PHD1 or any restriction enzyme which cuts at a specific sequence, so that particular site has to be there in host organism also, and that particular site has to be there in plasmid also, so that it can the desired sequence of us from that of a host DNA can easily be incorporated into the plasmid, and that plasmid can easily be transferred from that of a solution to that of a recipient organism. Now there are some sort of probabilities that if I want to incorporate my desired sequence in this particular direction, that is either in rightward direction or in leftward direction, there may be a probability that in a solution the piece of a DNA may get rotated. So instead of my desired sequence, which has to be fixed in this particular manner, okay, it fixed by splitting or by inverting the DNA sequence, that is known as a reverse complement. So if a reverse complement is being inserted, no protein will get generated. So the whole molecular biology practical gets null and void. Okay, from the so again I have to start from that of a zero. Now, to avoid this particular circumstances, okay, BioBricks are necessary. BioBricks have got a specific recognition site with that of a specific enzyme, and it can incorporate a desired sequence in a manner we want, okay, in a manner we have to. So the BioBrick standard is empirical universal standard for defining the sequence of nucleic acid of the parts and describes how they can be combined with other part sequences within the cloning vector that allows for standardization of BioBrick parts. Can be thought of as building block, as like bricks, okay, can be thought of as building blocks or Legos that can be put together in different ways to assemble larger synthetic biological circuits that together have a unique function. So these biological circuits can then be incorporated into living cells such as E. coli to construct a new biological system and to carry out a defined function. Okay, so coming on to, as we are running out of time, okay, as I've given only 1 hour time and it is 3:25. Okay, so coming on to the two standards, two standard assembly of BioBricks. I'll be discussing only one BioBrick standard assembly. Okay, so BioBrick assembly standard 10, that is most widely utilized in cloning procedure. Standard is the most reliable approach for combining parts to form a larger composite, to form a larger DNA of our interest. Our desired DNA has to be incorporated into the plasmid. Now the assembly standard enables two groups of synthetic biologists in different parts of the world to reuse a BioBrick part without going through the whole cycle of designing and manipulation. So if I have utilized or if I have prepared a BioBrick assembly for my system, if I have given the data to a database, BioBrick database or iGEM database, another scientist sitting in different part of the world that can utilize it. If that scientist wants to incorporate the same assembly of system into another organism, into another recipient, that can be done by using a BioBrick assembly standard. So Assembly Standard 10 was first assembly standard to be introduced. Over the years, several assembly standards have been utilized, and such as the Biofusion standard and Freeburg standard have been developed. I'll be discussing only BioBrick Assembly Standard 10.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello, ma'am. Hello.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. If you have to take 15 minutes more, then you can take it, ma'am.
Okay. I'll just complete this BioBrick Assembly Standard 10, what we need to do in this BioBrick Assembly Standard, and then we'll conclude. Okay. So what is
no problem.
what is that BioBrick Assembly Standard? It is a set of a gene which is having a specific recognition site for EcoR1, XBA1, SPE1, and PST1. If I am taking the two plasmids, two DNA from which are having the same recognition site onto this particular DNA sequence, so if I am cutting it with that of one DNA, if I am cutting with that of EcoR1 and SPE1, as you can see over here, okay, EcoR and SPE1. Again, I am cutting the second plasmid with that of EcoR1, so it generates a spacer region over here. It generates a gap over here. If I'm inserting this particular sequence that is having a recognition site of EcoR1, XBA1, and SPE1, okay, so I'm cutting a first DNA, first plasmid, first vector, or first set of gene with that of EcoR1 as well as XBA1 and SPE1. So I'm cutting with that of EcoR1 restriction enzyme and SPE1. I'm not utilizing XBA1. Okay. In second set of a DNA, I'm cutting the plasmid with that of EcoR1 and XBA1. So over here in this particular DNA sequence, there exists a gap. Okay. Now, if I want to fill the gap, what I need to do is I need to incorporate this sequence, this particular sequence, which I already cut with that of EcoR1 and SPE1. The sequence is being incorporated. So that sequence generates a sticky end, which is complementary to that of this side. Now, sequence generated with SPE1, okay, generates a sticky end which is complementary to that of this XBA1 side. So that the whole set of the gene, whole set of sequence, this whole set of sequence is being incorporated over here very easily, and this particular sort of segment is now known as a scar site, which is being recognized by M. Now, this particular scar site is not having any recognition site for EcoR1, XBA1, or SPE1, so this scar cannot be cut. So if I incorporate it, this scar cannot be cut by that of any restriction enzymes which we have discussed, that is either EcoR1, XBA1, SPE1, or PST1. So if I want to incorporate my desired sequence, my sort of gene, my or a specific feature into an organism, what I need to do is, and that particular gene is to be incorporated. If I need an incorporation of that gene in rightward direction, okay, the direction is much more important because that gene has to be read with that of RNA polymerase, and that transcription and translation has to be done. So for a transcription and translation, and if a particular recipient, that is a plasmid vector, is only having one promoter site, so that there has to be incorporation of our desired sequence in a directional manner. So this generates a directional cloning. BioBrick assembly, what I'm trying to say is, this generates a directional cloning. So again, going into the description, it involves the use of restriction enzyme. Every BioBrick part is a DNA sequence which is carried by circular plasmid, which act as a vector. That vector as a transport system to carry a BioBrick part. First approach towards the BioBrick standard was the introduction of standard sequences and prefix and suffix sequences, that is 5' and 3' sequences. Standard sequences encode a specific restriction site, that is prefix is having EcoR1 site and XBA1 site, and suffix has got SPE1 site and PST1 site. So these sites are being cut with that of a specific restriction enzyme from that of one particular sort of segment, one DNA segment. And this DNA segment has to be incorporated with that of another DNA segment, and a recombinant vector is being produced. See over here, you can see this. These are the prefix, okay, EcoR1, which has got a GAA-TTC site, okay, and this XBA1 has got a GATCT site. So from there only it cuts a particular sequence which generates an overhang or a sticky end. Now these sticky ends are being joined in a manner that it leaves a scar, ligated in a manner that it leaves a scar onto the DNA. Okay, now that scar is not being recognized in any of the restriction enzymes, so that particular sequence cannot be cut with that of a restriction enzyme available in a solution. So what is the necessity if I want to clone a specific sequence into a specific plasmid and a specific specific recipient? I can cut it with that by using BioBrick assembly. So if I need to incorporate other 2-3 features at a time, if I need to incorporate certain pathway, okay, certain pathway has to be incorporated, certain external feature has to be incorporated. What I need to do is I need to utilize a BioBrick. I need to insert 2 or 3 set of genes, 2 or 3 genes at a time, utilizing a BioBrick assembly, and that BioBrick assembly, that particular vector can be incorporated into the recipient very easily. What I'm trying to say is this only. Okay, so this is all about BioBrick. Okay, and now we are running out of time, so that I'll conclude over here. There is another BioBrick assembly or BGL brick assembly, which is also there. Another 2 BioBrick assemblies are there. But it was a very nice time spent with you people. And thank you so much for calling. Thank you so much, Dr. Priyanka Prajapati, for calling me and Parallel University for this particular session. Thank you. If you have any questions, dear students, if you have any, as we are running out of time, and even my college time also gets over, so that if you have any questions, you can mail me up. Madam will provide you my WhatsApp number also, so you can message me up if you want to have an idea about BioBrick assembly, if you want to have idea about gene cloning or bioinformatics software. Okay, I did my PhD in bioinformatics, so that utilizing certain softwares of bioinformatics, okay, so that you may anytime you may call me, or anytime you may message me or mail me. I'll be happy to answer.
Okay. Okay, dear students, I have sent you the ma'am mail ID. You have any questions, any doubt, so you can mail her here and she will replying you. So due to the time durations, I just want to thanks on behalf of the microbiology department and the Parallel University of Applied Science. I am very much thankful to the Dr. Sumaya Isaac for giving their most important informations about the restriction endonuclease, and also very much thankful for giving their valuable time which spent with us, and also give the idea that shared with us. Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving your beautiful time with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you to you. Thank you so much.
Okay. Okay.
Bye bye.
Now we can, ma'am, you can.